Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my friend Daniel Brown. We're going to be talking about kind of lessons learned during the downturn here over the past couple of years. He's shifted and pivoted a little bit like many of us have, but we're going to talk about some specific lessons learned and maybe some things that you can learn from as well. So Daniel, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, buddy. Yeah. So, hey, before we jump into this, maybe tell us a little bit about your background, about how you kind of got into real estate investing, and then we'll jump into some of the lessons that you've learned over the past. I guess the downturn really started happening almost 3 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long, but
The
past 3
longer
years.
and shorter than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I got started in investing. I think like a lot of people. I mean, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was working a 9 to 5 terrible job that I did not enjoy, and so I was like, there's got to be something else. So, actually bought my first rental property. Was a foreclosure. I moved into it and did all the work myself. Refinanced it, pulled some money out, and bought another one, and then kind of just kept doing that for a while. So for a long time, it was just accumulating rentals, as many as possible, and then I kind of shifted into I probably need to sell a few of these and get some
Yeah.
better checks coming in as well. So that's kind of just
Yeah.
the basic rundown.
And everything that you do is in the Springfield, Missouri area, right?
Yeah, like
For the most part.
99%. I've had a couple outside my area, but not really.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've known Springfield is one of those areas where every once in a while I'd meet somebody else and like, oh, I'm in, I operate in Springfield. I'm like, how many damn investors are there in Springfield? It's like the center of the universe, especially for rentals and turnkey guys and stuff like that. For a while it was.
And what's
Yeah,
crazy, it's not even that big of an area. It's not like
right.
it's not like Kansas City or St. Louis. It's still a pretty small market to have as
Yeah,
many investors as we have.
yeah, yeah. I've known people that own, big portfolios of rentals there and it's just kind of crazy. For a while, it was almost like a joke. Like you would hear like, oh, I'm from Springfield. I was like, how's that possible?
So everybody own 100 rentals in a town that's small.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So I know, during the downturn here, I know that, a couple years ago when we were talking, you were accumulating a lot of rentals. And I think you've kind of, I know one of the lessons we talked about is that more isn't always better. So kind of share your lessons learned there. I think you were right around 100 rentals before, and now you own less. But just talk about kind of some of the lessons learned that more isn't always better.
Yeah, for sure. I think you kind of get into real estate investing and you see like podcasts or TikTok accounts or whatever, and everybody's accumulating. It's like, oh, I've got 1,000 doors or I've got 500. And it's like, I think everybody kind of feels like they have to just keep accumulating more and more and more. And while that's great, I think for some people, the other side of that is what do you really need to achieve your goal? Like, do you want to make 10,000 a month? Do you want to make 15? Whatever that number is, having just as many rentals as possible is not always the answer. Sometimes it's just a blend. It's like, hey, I've always scaled back, have 20 rentals, but do 3 or 4 flips a year to get like those big checks. And now we're right
Yeah.
back to the same number without having all the overhead and the property management and just every moving part that goes with owning 100 plus rentals. So I think just
Yeah.
simplicity, and that's my thing too. I like something a little more simple. I kind of want to make as much money as possible with as little work as possible. Has always been my kind of like life goal / motto. So
Yeah.
more isn't always better. You can achieve the same goal with less a lot of times.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're in the real estate space, probably all entrepreneurs, you get this feast or famine mentality that you're like, you just feel like you've got to feast always because you're worried about the famine, right? Like, and you just get caught up in kind of the machine of always trying to grow, grow, grow.
When I remember too, for a while there, it was like every time a deal would come up, I felt like I had to do it or I had to make it work because I'm like, if I make it work, I can make 10, 20, $30,000. And if I just say no to it, then I don't get that money. And it was like I was constantly just buying stuff just because there was like an opportunity to buy it.
Yeah.
When sometimes you can just like there's always going to be more deals. Like I've learned that over the last 8 years that there's always going to be another deal. Like it's
Yeah.
not the last deal to come across your desk. So you can
Yeah,
find
for
some
sure.
stuff.
For
So
sure, yeah. And I think, one of the lessons that I think you learned is that you can't keep them all. I know for a lot of time, a lot of years, you were basically trying to keep, everything. I don't think you were doing a whole lot of fix and flipping or wholesaling. It was just like accumulating rentals, right? And I've always said, because I have a rental portfolio, I've always said the appreciation's been nice, but they never cash flow nearly as much as I thought. And so I always like to say you got to have active income, which if you're a real estate investor might come from wholesaling and fix and flipping. And then you can have passive income, but you got to have that active income to pay the bills and keep the lights on and advertise, pay staff, have an office, like all those things, right?
for sure, 100%. I did that for sure. I just kept everything because I was
Yeah.
like, earn a couple $100 a month forever or just get one check. I'm like, no, I just want to keep getting that passive income. But
Right.
you do need those big deals. You need at least some active income, like you said, just to pay bills. If, hot water goes out on one, like just having that big kind of chunks in reserve come in is super important
Yeah.
over the long run.
We didn't talk about this up front, but I'm assuming one of the lessons you learned too, and a lot of real estate investors have, is that rentals are not passive, right?
Unfortunately, there even if you have property management, there's still something to do at any given time. There's always a decision to be made, which in itself is work. So
Yeah.
yeah, it just kind of is what it is. And then the thing about it too is, you know, you've got to have those, like I said, once again, those big checks to just keep the business moving forward as well. Like you can accumulate, but you still need those big ones here and there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I have a property management company that manages my stuff, but I still get pulled in
yeah,
often.
owner.
Like, yeah, of course, on the financial side, we audit their numbers every month because, they manage 1,000+ doors. So things get mixed up. Sometimes we get billed for the wrong property. It's on the same street, but like we didn't rehab that. It's like, oh, yeah, sorry, we applied it to the wrong house, or things could happen. Or there's fires or major issues, like major rehabs. Like they do make readies and stuff like that. But I tend to like have my rehab guy handle like anything over a few grand. I'm like, we'll just kind of handle that because we're more proficient at bigger rehabs. And so those are my choices, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're still not passive, no matter even if somebody else is managing them. And you were managing all your own, right?
I was up until about 25-ish doors, and then I started a property management company, which in itself means that you're in it day to day because I'm
Yeah,
helping grow that company. So it was never really truly passive because I was involved in some type of decision making at any given time.
yeah.
So
And did you ever start managing for other people, or it was all just your own?
we did a very small, like 10%, and that wasn't very fun either because
Yeah,
then you really don't have control over decisions like, hey, we should make this repair, we should do this, that, or the other. And we always try to keep our stuff super nice, and then you get that owner that was like, well, let's just not do it this month. We'll put this off, and before you know it, it just was not my cup of tea to
yeah,
manage other people's stuff.
yeah. It's a different animal for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's talk about, kind of really understanding your goals and the life you want to live and stuff like that. I think that's one of your kind of big eye openers over the past few years is just like kind of what's this all for, understanding your why, like what are some of the lessons you can share there?
yeah. I think the big one for me, especially throughout the last couple of years, is figuring out your why, but not only figuring it out, but being honest about it in a way that is selfish. It's like, hey, this is what I actually want to do, and this is not what I think everybody else thinks I should do. I think a lot of people fall into the trap of like, I've got to grind 24/7, I got to hustle, I've got to make $1 million a year, I'm not successful. And it's like, maybe for some people, sure, but like other people, maybe they're happy making $5,000 to $10,000 a month passively ish through rentals or flipping a couple houses and then playing golf 2, 3 times a week. Like really drilling down what your why is, and then like I said, not being or being selfish about it. And it changes. Like over the last 8 years, my why and how I want to operate my day to day has changed probably 20 times. Like I'll almost every 6 months, I'm like, let's move this here, let's move that there, because this is not important anymore. And so kind of just reflecting, I think every 3 to 6 months, just kind of sit there for a day or two and be like, am I doing what I want to do every day? Like, am I looking forward to Monday or am I dreading Monday? And if you're dreading Monday, like you probably need to do a little self-reflecting and figure out what you want
Yeah,
to do. It's
yeah, yeah,
like, what are we doing all this for? It's not to dread going to work, whatever that looks like for you.
yeah, yeah. And I think real estate investors are the worst at kind of having scope creep. Like you're like, this is my plan, and then you're like, yeah, I'll do that, or things get bolted on, and next thing you know, you need to kind of do some periodic spring cleaning, I guess.
Yeah. Cut out what you don't want to do, or delegate it and hire it out,
Yeah,
and really drill down what you do enjoy doing, or what part of the process you like.
yeah. I think a lot of it too. I know you have young kids, so a lot of it depends on your kids and your family too. I mean, their lives are evolving kind of faster than yours because they've got different sports going on or different activities, or God forbid anybody has health issues or anything like that. Like you just, I think a lot of us in real estate got into this for the flexibility. And so you need to have the flexibility. Like you don't want to put in place all these roadblocks that don't allow you to be flexible, because that's why you got into it in the first place, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like it's funny too because 5 years ago, I would not have said that we are in the position we are in now. And now we're basically homesteaders. Like we've got 5 acres, we've got a huge garden, we just got chickens, and like that wasn't even on our radar like three,
Yeah.
4 years ago. And now we're like super deep into that, where it's like, how do we spend more time hanging out as a family and just enjoying like the day to day kind of
Yeah.
lifestyle? So it can
We're
change over
probably the
time.
same. I mean, a similar, like we just have one son, and he's just about to graduate from high school. But um, I think we'd always thought maybe we'd have a little land and a getaway place, but we never knew we'd have our what we call Big H Ranch now at 104 acres. We literally are building out. Same thing. My wife just got a big greenhouse. We got a chicken coop coming. I told you we're building a bunch of ponds out there, and so like I've never mowed my lawn as an adult. My own lawn, and now I'm out there on tractors all the time, mowing all the time. And like I went from I don't even mow my little quarter acre lot or whatever I have in town here, and now I'm mowing 104 acres or forestry mulching or whatever. But it's weird because it's just a choice. It's like a choice. Like I liked it. At some point, it might wear off. At some point, I was talking to somebody about this recently. I was like, I don't know why I love this so much. And they're like, well, in your business, you're always building for the future, and you don't get immediate gratification. But when you do landscaping or mowing or whatever, you get like immediate gratification. You see, oh wow, I just did that. There's something that part has been missing for me. Everything I'm doing is building for a year or 5 years out from now.
I mean, it's pretty sweet to jump on a zero turn, throw in some headphones, and just
Yeah.
for an hour. It's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
And we've got so much land now that we have like air conditioned cabs with Bluetooth radios and stuff. So it's a little different than certainly pushing a motor, but yeah, I wouldn't want to push the type of land that we have. So let's talk a little bit about I think one of the other things that's happened with you over the recent years is there's just this realization that there's a lot of ways to make money when you get in real estate. I know you started doing some lending, brokering loans, and doing other things, and I mean, maybe share your thoughts or kind of a little bit about what you're doing there that's enabled you to make money from something that you already had a network of people that would probably be willing to work with you right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think exactly what you just said. Like, adding any ancillary services onto your current business is always a good thing. I've talked to other investors that they'll add pest control or, this, that, or the other that kind of fits in with it. And brokering loans was the thing for me that just kind of fit into it because I've always really enjoyed the numbers side of investing. So getting to see other people's deals and be like, okay, this one would fit here, or just seeing how like other people are investing in real estate, like whether they're doing an appreciation play, they're doing short-term rental, they're doing long-term rental, fix and flip, and with that kind of network of people, I don't have to necessarily do a ton of prospecting to just have conversations with people. It's just like, hey, what you got going on? You want to refinance? You want to pull some money out? You want to do some new builds? And then I get to see kind of how they're doing their thing. And I get to make a little bit of money on top of that. So that's just been it's been pretty fun. It's always nice to kind of dip your toe into something new as well. At least for me, because I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. So it's like if I'm doing something new, I'm a little excited. It's fun. So it's been really cool being able to like help people kind of fund their projects or at least help scale. A lot
Yeah.
of guys too are self-funding, and it's like, hey, I'm doing one at a time, and I'm like, well, you can probably do two or three and stretch your dollars a little bit and make a little bit more. So helping people kind of stretch that as well has been a lot of fun. So
Yeah. It's interesting because there's been a lot of people in Investor Fuel over the past couple of years have started lending as well because it's such a natural fit. If you've wholesaled a lot of deals or you've done a lot of networking in your market like you do, it's like the lending is kind of I mean, truthfully, we all got into this because we wanted to kind of quote be the bank, right? Like we wanted that income that's coming in. And for guys like you've spent a lot of time building relationships and and becoming, a go-to expert in your market for one thing. And it's like, well, I could just put out my shingle for lending and I'm in business like overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
thought
so
about doing it in Dallas. I don't really want to be historically my problem is I'll launch something and I'm like, how do I be the biggest in the world at this, And it's
yeah,
like, well, I don't want to be the biggest in the world. Like I just want to create another stream of income that's not like that doesn't need some massive team that could be run with like one or two people. And so, and in, DFW, just because I've been doing this for like people refer to me as like an old timer now because I've been doing it for 17 years. I'm like, man, don't say that. But you've got a good enough reputation here to where it wouldn't take much to have a nice little business just from saying you're in business, just putting your shingle out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, just kind of knowing your numbers. I know one of the things that this is a lot of this is intuitive stuff, but I've kind of said with my wife who's worked with me for the past 17 years when we got into this is if it was up to me, I mean, if it was just me, I would have run out of cash and just been a train wreck financially. Not that I would have done anything wrong, just you got to stay on top of your numbers. And if it was just her, she's very risk averse. She never even would have done a single deal because she would have found a reason not to do it. But I think a lot of real estate investors are like you and I, is that we're the driving force, the front end, acquisitions, dispo, relationships, all this stuff. But if you're not staying on top of your accounting in real time, you can get yourself into trouble. So just talk about, some lessons you've learned about the importance of keeping a finger on the pulse of your numbers.
No, I agree 100% with that. Like, I think we're in the same, me and my wife are in the same kind of boat. It's like, I'm the one, I would push all the chips in every chance I get. Like, I don't
Right.
care. Let's just do it and we'll figure it out. And she's the same, very, very conservative, very like, let's be very cautious. So I think the big thing about numbers, I think for me especially, the big thing was watching, ingoing and outgoing. So I was always of the mentality of I can just earn more. I'll just earn more. It's like it doesn't matter if this place is vacant. It doesn't matter if this one has a hot water heater. I'll just flip another house. I'll just keep making more money. And it can work, I guess, in the short term, but for a very long period of time, if you're not tracking, especially the outgoing, it's really hard to eke out a profit if all the money is going out the door as soon as it comes in. So really about a year ago, I just hit the pause button and I got really dialed on like, okay, where are we spending our money? How are we spending it? Where is it going? Can we alleviate any of this? And then just like a small, like to me now, a dumb tidbit was, when you have a vacancy, you're not just losing out your two, three, $400 in cash flow. You're losing out more than likely your mortgage payment because you have a mortgage on it, taxes, insurance, utilities. So
Yeah.
instead of losing $300 a month, you're now actually losing like 1,200, and that can add up really quick if you're not, So getting our turn times really, really low has
Yeah.
been a big push for us. Just to if they move out, like how quickly can we get somebody moved in and get that place turned, So and then just seeing all the other expenses, there's random stuff that you're paying for. You're like, why are we, this marketing channel is making us no money? Let's just that and move on. So, yeah, just keeping a pulse on your business is huge.
Yeah,
Month to
that's
month.
great. And it's kind of tied into what we talked about earlier, which is you can't keep them all, right? I mean, I think rentals never cash flow as much as what anybody thinks, and then of course it's a problem too if you either have too many to where you're not keeping a finger on the pulse of the numbers, or you have too little to where you don't have that kind of portfolio effect. I mean, it's not uncommon. I don't know about you, but I've had 20, 30, $40,000 make readies on rentals, and I'm just like, oh my god, like this is gonna if everything goes perfectly for the next 10 years, this thing might break even. But fortunately, I've got a portfolio of other ones that are going fine right now. So but yeah,
Well, I think, like you said, it's nice to keep them because the way I was looking at it was like every one of these will give me $200 or $300 a month. So if I have 10 of them, it's 2,000. If I have, so on and so on, and you can't just rely on those small checks like we kind of talked about earlier. Like you have to have a couple of big checks come in every couple of weeks, couple of months to really keep stuff moving forward and keep the business like momentum going forward. And then hopefully in 10, 15 years, you've got a ton of pay down, you've got some appreciation, maybe you can
right.
pull out some cash again. And then I think that's when it really pays off. But to try to just live off of passive income day one is, I think, almost impossible. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work that way.
I've known some people that keep everything, but they had another stream of income. They either were a significant hard money lender, or they had maybe their high paid, doctor or lawyer, professional, somebody that kind of has that income stream. So you kind of need that, what I like to call it today money, that active income, and then tuck stuff away passively to where that's just all gravy. But it's hard to kind of build a life on just passive income if you don't have active income, in my experience.
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of people don't see that in the beginning. They're like, "Oh, I'll build it off of the passive," and it's like you can't do it. You have to have some
Yeah.
kind of active, like you said, spouse, high paying job, something has to be bringing in today's dollars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, I always look at my portfolio now as like a forced savings account. It's literally something that's getting paid down. I'm getting appreciation, and if I get cash flow, great. If not, that's fine too, because it's just in the 15 years from now, it's going to be pretty sweet.
Right. Yep. Yep. How about maybe you talk about any in this switch, the way you switched your business that we kind of talked about here is just lessons learned from your network. I know you have a big network. You spend a lot of time building the network in your market, and just talk about maybe some lessons you've learned over the past few years about the power of that network.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I mean, you learn stuff every day from just interacting with people. Like, how do you invest? How are you doing it? How did you find your deals? How are you handling your accounting? Or just even finding deals. I can't say how many people I run into it. I'm like, hey, what you got going? And they're like, oh, I've got this one I need to dump. And it's like, oh, that's an opportunity to maybe buy something. And so, or like, we've connected over stuff. Like right before this call, you just gave me a resource where it's like, I need to check that out. And so, anytime that you can just talk to somebody and have a conversation about real estate investing, you're it's gonna count to something today, tomorrow, in a week, in a month.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've known each other now for probably what, 3, 4 years, and every time I talk to you, I pick up something, or I see another event that I need to attend. And so I think networking is probably the number one thing that anybody should be doing. Just
Yeah.
have those conversations with people and just talk to them and get to know what they're doing. And then maybe, hopefully provide them some value. Be like, I'm trying to do this. Okay, well, I've done it this way, so maybe you could try it that way as well. Just
Yeah.
being helpful. That's
It's
the
kind
one
of
thing
like
that
it's kind of like rentals. It's like you build up this equity over time, right? If you play the long game and you build up kind of equity, that's just relationship equity
yeah.
that pays dividends for a long period of time, but you got to play the long game.
Yeah. Well, you kind of joked about being like, now starting to become the older guys in the business or whatever. And it's like, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting closer. And it's actually kind of fun because I feel like I'm finally at the point where I have enough knowledge to where I'm comfortable like sharing it with people and helping them and hopefully having them avoid some of the stuff that I did where it's like I'm actually helping kind of the next generation of
Right.
investors. There's a guy here at my office. He just turned 20 and he's already sacked one deal. He's got a bunch saved up to buy another one. And I'm like, dude, at 20, I wasn't doing anything near what you were doing. So like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to see. Like some of the guys starting now are like super young. Like I didn't
Yeah.
start until I was in my 30s. So
Yeah. 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 Me either. Yeah. I say that all the time. The two biggest things, having done nearly probably around 2,000 podcasts now, the biggest regrets I always hear are people that wish they started earlier.
yeah,
And they wish it's common that they wish they'd kept more as rentals. Of course, we talked about that a little bit. It's not always that more, but if I could go back and start keeping rentals in my 20s versus my early 30s, like that would have made a big difference. But hindsight is exactly that, right?
I, best
Yeah,
time to
yeah,
plant a tree was 20 years ago. Next best day is today. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So, Daniel, if folks if they want to connect with you in any way, learn more how they might work with you, where can they go?
yeah, you can go just to the website, loanbids with a z.com. That's one place. Or I'm pretty active on Facebook still. That's kind of my main where I post, stuff about the rehabs we're doing. I do video walkthroughs all the time, kind of show you before and afters. So those are probably the two best places to get
Yeah.
a hold of me.
Cool. Well, we'll add some links down below. So thanks for sharing some lessons. But thanks for being, a little bit vulnerable too. I mean, that's one of the things that we do, obviously, in our mastermind is, we try to get people to open up, be a little bit vulnerable, because that's where the growth happens. Like like you said, if you're taking pictures of yourself in rented Lambos and not willing to share the reality of what's going on, then you're going to crash and burn eventually.
For sure. 100%. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to see you. So, everybody, some good lessons here. Like more, clearly one of the big ones is more isn't always better, right? You need to. I just heard from somebody yesterday that they're doing like over 1,000 deals a year, and when my radar goes up when I hear that, I was like, There is absolutely some asterisks next to that. I don't know the details yet, which it's not that it's impossible, but it takes a big machine to be doing deals like that. Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Big machine to make 1,000 deals work.
Yeah. Yep. So awesome. Well, hope you guys got some good value. Daniel, thanks again for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Everybody, we'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.